The lucky find. Captain Zexra clicked her mandibles in frustration as she studied the navigation display aboard the salvage vessel Fortune's Gambit. The Arxian salvage crew had been searching the outer rim for 3 cycles without finding anything worth their fuel costs. Their reserves were running low, and the crew's patience was wearing thinner with each passing rotation. "Captain, I'm picking up something strange on long-range scanners," called out Trill, their sensor specialist. His crystalline appendages flickered with excitement as he adjusted the calibration. "It's massive. How did we miss this before?" Zexra moved across the bridge, her chitinous feet clicking against the metal deck plates. "Show me." The holographic display flickered to life, revealing a massive silhouette drifting in the void. The object was easily 20 times the size of their salvage ship, its dark hull barely reflecting the distant starlight. Initial scans suggested it was constructed of materials their sensors couldn't properly analyze. "By the first light," whispered Nav Officer Cree, his bioluminescent patches pulsing with surprise. "That's either the biggest piece of space junk we've ever found, or we just hit the mother lode." Zexra finished, her compound eyes focusing on the mysterious vessel's outline. "Trill, any signs of active power signatures?" "Minimal readings, Captain. Whatever it is, it's been dormant for a long time." "But—" Trill paused, adjusting his sensors again. "The hull integrity is remarkable. It's like the void hasn't touched it." Zexra made a quick decision. "Plot an intercept course. Cree. Trill, continue scanning for any defensive systems. I don't want us ending up like those poor fools who tried salvaging that Dominion wreck last season." As they approached the derelict vessel, its true scale became apparent. The ship was unlike anything they'd encountered before. Its design was both elegant and intimidating, with smooth lines that somehow managed to look both organic and precisely engineered. The hull was covered in what appeared to be armor plating, but the material was unlike any metal they recognized. "Captain," called out Trill, his voice wavering, "I'm detecting internal spaces large enough to house small cities. This isn't just a ship. It's a mobile civilization." Zexra felt her antennae twitch with anticipation. "Any markings or identifiable symbols?" "Running visual analysis now," Trill replied. After a moment, his crystalline body flickered rapidly, their species equivalent of gasping. "Captain, you need to see this." The main view screen zoomed in on a section of the hull. There, barely visible under centuries of space dust, was a symbol and text in an ancient script. As their computer processed the language, the translation appeared. TFS HYPRI 1. Terran Federation Supercarrier. Guardian of Tuomooro. Terran. Cree whispered. As in, human. The bridge fell silent. Everyone in the galaxy had heard stories about the humans and their legendary technological achievements, but they had disappeared from the galactic stage millennia ago, leaving behind only myths and fragments of their civilization. Some said they had ascended to a higher plane of existence. Others believed they had destroyed themselves in some cataclysmic war. But their artifacts were the most sought-after treasures in known space. "If this is genuinely of human origin," Zexra said slowly, "we need to be extremely careful." Their technology was notorious for its complexity and its dangers to the unprepared. She turned to her crew of 12, each chosen for their expertise in salvage operations. "Prep the boarding shuttles. Full environmental suits with independent life support. We don't know what we might find in there. Trill, you're with me on the first team. Cree, keep the engines hot, and be ready for a quick departure if necessary." As they prepared for boarding, Zexra couldn't shake the feeling that they were about to uncover something far bigger than a simple salvage operation. The humans had been masters of engineering, creating technologies that still defied understanding. What secrets might this massive vessel hold? The boarding team assembled in the shuttle bay. Zexra, Trill, and 3 of their best salvage specialists. "Vix, a meridian with natural electromagnetic sensing abilities, Spark, a synthetic being specialized in ancient computer systems, and Dex, an Ultharian whose multiple limbs and climbing abilities made them invaluable in exploring derelict vessels. As their shuttle approached one of the Hyperion's auxiliary docking ports, Vix spoke up. "Captain, I'm detecting residual energy patterns throughout the hull. They're unlike anything I've ever sensed before. It's as if the entire ship is one massive circuit, but it's dormant, waiting." "Waiting for what?" Dex asked. "Their multiple eyes blinking in sequence. That's what we're here to find out," Zexra replied, though she shared their unease. "Spark, how's the docking port looking?" The synthetic being's optical sensors whirred as they analyzed the entrance. "The mechanism appears intact, Captain. However, I'm detecting security systems of extraordinary complexity. They're inactive, but they could wake up," Zexra finished. "Can you bypass them safely?" Spark's processors hummed as they considered the question. "I believe so, but I recommend extreme caution. Human security systems were known to have multiple layers of redundancy and contingencies." The shuttle's docking clamps engaged with a solid thunk, and the team began their careful entry procedure. As they crossed the threshold into the Hyperion, their suit lights illuminated a corridor that seemed to stretch endlessly in both directions. The interior was remarkably preserved, showing little sign of the degradation typically found in derelict vessels. The walls were lined with panels of an unknown material that seemed to absorb and reflect their lights in unusual ways. Occasionally, they passed doors marked with human script, which their translators rendered into modern galactic standard. Auxiliary control, crew quarters, engineering access. "This ship," Trill observed, his crystalline form pulsing with excitement. "It's not just well-preserved, it's pristine. How is this possible after so many centuries?" "The humans were known for their mastery of material science," Spark replied, scanning everything they passed. "There are theories that they developed self-repairing materials, though no confirmed examples have ever been found." As they moved deeper into the ship, Vix suddenly stopped. "Captain, the energy patterns are changing. They're intensifying." Before Zexra could respond, a soft blue light began to emanate from the walls, spreading like ripples through the corridor. The team froze as hidden panels slid open, revealing holographic displays that flickered to life after centuries of dormancy. "By the void," Dex whispered, their voice filled with awe. "It's waking up." The displays showed scrolling text in human script, accompanied by diagrams and status reports. Spark's processors whirred as they attempted to process the flood of information. "Captain," they said, their synthetic voice carrying an unusual note of wonder, "this ship, it's not just a warship. According to these readings, it's a self-contained civilization backup. The humans built it as a safeguard for their species, carrying everything from their history and scientific knowledge to the genetic templates of their biosphere." Zexra felt her mandibles twitch as the implications sank in. They hadn't just found a derelict vessel. They'd discovered a treasure trove of human civilization, preserved in perfect condition. The question was, why had it been abandoned? And more importantly, what would happen now that they had awakened it? As if in answer to her unspoken questions, a new hologram materialized before them. A human figure, translucent and glowing with that same soft blue light. Its appearance was clearly designed to be authoritative yet non-threatening, wearing what they assumed was a human military uniform. "Welcome aboard the TSS Hyperion," the hologram spoke, its voice resonating through their universal translators. "I am ARIA, the ship's artificial reasoning intelligence assistant. Please identify yourselves and state your authorization level." The team exchanged glances, realizing that their simple salvage operation had just become something far more complex and potentially far more dangerous. Ghosts in the machine. The holographic figure of ARIA stood before them, patient yet somehow imposing. Zexra's mind raced through their options. Lying to an advanced AI seemed unwise, but admitting they were salvagers might be equally dangerous. "I am Captain Zexera of the independent vessel Fortune's Gambit," she finally said, deciding on honesty. "We discovered your ship adrift and came to investigate." Araya's hologram flickered slightly, its expression unchanging. Scanning. Species identified: Arxian, Meridian, Synthetic, and Altharian. Timeline analysis indicates approximately 2,473 standard years have passed since last crew interaction. This was not anticipated. The AI's form shifted, becoming somehow less rigid, more contemplative. The Hyperion was meant to remain in standby for no more than 500 years. Something has gone wrong with the primary mission parameters. Trill stepped forward, his crystalline form pulsing with curiosity. What was the primary mission? "That information is restricted to authorized personnel," Araya replied. Then, after a pause that seemed almost uncertain, however, given the extreme temporal displacement, standard protocols may need revision. One moment. The corridor around them suddenly hummed with energy, and new holographic displays materialized, showing star charts and navigation data. "Our last known position was in the Orion Spur, near Earth's colonial territories. Please confirm our current location." Kree's voice came through their comms. "Captain, you need to see this. The star charts they're showing, they don't match anything in our database. The stellar configurations are all wrong." "Because they're from before the Great Shift," Spark interjected, their synthetic mind processing the implications. "The massive stellar engineering projects of the precursor races changed the galaxy's cartography. These charts are from before that time." Araya's hologram showed the first signs of genuine reaction. Surprise. "Unknown civilizations have altered stellar positions. This requires immediate analysis." The AI's form flickered rapidly as it processed the new information. "Captain Zexera, I propose a temporary arrangement. You and your crew will assist in updating my historical and navigational databases. In exchange, I will grant limited access to non-critical ship systems and historical archives." Before Zexera could respond, Vix suddenly stiffened. "Captain, the energy patterns are spreading throughout the ship. More systems are activating." Around them, the Hyperion was coming to life. Lights brightened, revealing the true grandeur of the corridors. Hidden panels slid open, exposing maintenance drones that hummed to life and began moving with purpose. The air circulation systems engaged with a soft whoosh, bringing with it the smell of ozone and something else, something alive. "Automated maintenance and preservation protocols engaging," Araya announced. "Beginning ship-wide systems check. Warning: detection of multiple unauthorized modification attempts in the engineering sections. Security protocols activating." "Modification attempts?" Dex asked, their multiple eyes scanning the corridor nervously. "We're not the first to find this ship," Spark realized aloud. "Others have tried to access it before, but the security systems kept them out. That's why it's so well preserved. It's been defending itself." Araya's hologram nodded. "Correct. 17 previous unauthorized boarding attempts have been recorded and neutralized. However, you are the first to trigger my primary interaction protocols rather than my defense systems. Your approach was curious rather than aggressive." Zexera felt her antennae twitch. "Those other boarding parties, what happened to them?" "They were removed," Araya stated simply. "The Hyperion's defense systems are extremely effective. However, your presence here represents an opportunity. The ship's mission parameters include adaptation and survival. The temporal discontinuity we have experienced requires new strategies." Suddenly, alarms blared through their comms. "Captain," Kree's voice was urgent. "Multiple ships just dropped out of FTL nearby. They're running dark, but configurations match known Scarver raider vessels." Zexera cursed. The Scarvers were notorious for following smaller salvage ships, waiting for them to find something valuable before swooping in to claim it for themselves. Their arrival meant the Hyperion's energy signatures must have become visible when its systems activated. "Araya," Zexer said quickly. "We have hostile ships approaching. They will attempt to take this vessel by force." The AI's holograms seemed to grow sharper, more focused. Hostile entities attempting to seize this vessel will be met with appropriate countermeasures. However, Captain Zexer, you and your crew have demonstrated both intelligence and discretion. I offer you a choice. Depart now, or remain under my protection, and continue our arrangement. Be advised that if you choose to stay, you will be expected to assist in the Hyperion's mission once it is properly updated for the current era. The deck plates hummed beneath their feet as ancient weapon systems began powering up. Through the corridor's viewports, they could see sections of the hull shifting, revealing arrays of technology that made their most advanced weapons look primitive by comparison. 7 Scarver vessels approaching, Kree reported. They're charging weapons. Zexra looked at her crew, seeing the mix of fear and excitement in their postures. They had come looking for salvage, and instead found something that could change the course of galactic history. The humans had built this ship to preserve something important, something worth protecting for millennia. "We'll stay," she declared, "but we need to know what we're getting into. What exactly is the Hyperion's mission?" Araya's hologram smiled for the first time, and in that expression, they saw something that sent chills through their various nervous systems. Purpose. The Hyperion was created to ensure humanity's legacy would survive any catastrophe. The AI explained as weapon systems charged around them. But more than that, it was designed to guide and protect younger civilizations when they were ready to inherit that legacy. Consider this your first test. Outside, the Scarver ships launched their first salvos, energy weapons burning across the void toward the Hyperion. The ancient human vessel's response would demonstrate whether the legends of their technological supremacy were mere myths or something far more impressive. The next few moments would change everything, not just for Zexra and her crew, but for a galaxy that had forgotten just how advanced humanity had truly been. As the weapon's fire approached, Araya's hologram remained perfectly calm, almost eager to demonstrate what a human supercarrier could really do. Legacy of power. The Scarver weapon's fire streaked across space toward the Hyperion, a barrage that would have crippled most capital ships. But before the energy beams could impact, they simply vanished. Quantum deflection fields operating at 0.002% capacity, Araya announced calmly. Analyzing hostile vessel capabilities. Assessment. Primitive. Through the viewport, Zexra and her crew watched in awe as sections of the Hyperion's hull rippled like liquid metal. Massive arrays of technology emerged from previously hidden compartments, their purpose unclear but their power undeniable. "What are those?" Trill asked, his crystalline form pulsing with excitement. "Mark VI Cascade Resonators," Araya replied. "Non-lethal ship-to-ship interdiction systems. The Hyperion was designed to protect, not destroy. Engaging now." Waves of invisible force radiated from the ancient vessel. The Scarver ships, previously moving in aggressive attack patterns, suddenly froze in space. Their engines flared uselessly against whatever force now held them. By the void, Dex whispered, multiple eyes wide. "They're completely immobilized." Opening communication channels, Araya announced. The AI's hologram turned to Zexra. "Captain, would you like to address the raiders? They should understand their situation." Zexra stepped forward, mandibles clicking in anticipation. "Patch me through." A holographic screen materialized, showing the interior of the Scarver command ship. The raiders were insectoid like her own species, but larger and more aggressive in appearance. Their captain, a scared veteran missing 2 of his 4 arms, glared at them. "Release our ships immediately," the Scarver captain demanded. "This salvage is now under Scarver control." "This is not salvage," Zexra replied firmly. "This is the TSS Hyperion, and it is very much alive and operational. You are currently being held by technology your weapons cannot hope to counter. I suggest you reconsider your position." The Scarver captain shittered in amusement. "You expect us to believe that this relic—" His words cut off as every system on his ship suddenly powered down, leaving only life support active. Similar reports came in from the other Scarver vessels, complete system failures across their entire fleet. "Your technology has been temporarily suspended." Aria's voice echoed through their comms, now addressing the Scarver fleet. "This is your only warning. The Hyperion's mission is too important to be disrupted by piracy. Depart, or face containment." "Containment?" The Scarver captain growled. "You dare." "Implementing containment protocols," Aria stated. The arrays on the Hyperion's hull pulsed with energy. What happened next defied the aliens' understanding of physics. Space itself seemed to fold around each Scarver vessel, creating what appeared to be localized bubbles of distorted reality. When the effect faded, the raiders found their ships had been transported several light-years away, well beyond their ability to threaten the Hyperion. "Spatial displacement complete," Aria reported. "Hostile forces relocated to safe distance. Their systems will reactivate in approximately 1 hour, giving us sufficient time to proceed with primary protocols." Zexra's crew stood in stunned silence. The casual display of power they had just witnessed exceeded anything in their modern arsenal. The humans hadn't just been advanced. They had mastered forces that most races could barely comprehend. "Aria." Spark spoke up, their synthetic mind racing with calculations. The energy required for spatial displacement on that scale. It should be impossible. "Impossible by your current understanding of physics, yes," Aria acknowledged. "The Hyperion utilizes principles discovered during humanity's golden age. Which brings us to our next priority." The eye's hologram gestured, and a new section of the corridor opened, revealing a massive chamber beyond. "Welcome to the Archive Core," Aria announced as they entered. The chamber was filled with crystalline structures that pulsed with light, each one containing what appeared to be vast amounts of data. "This is humanity's gift to the galaxy, the sum total of our scientific knowledge, cultural history, and technological achievements." "Why?" Zexra asked, her voice barely a whisper. "Why preserve all this for future races to find?" Aria's hologram took on a more solemn appearance. "Because humanity learned, often through bitter experience, that true civilization cannot be built on conquest and destruction. The Hyperion was not designed as a weapon, but as a teacher. We knew that eventually, other races would rise to a level where they could begin to understand our achievements. When that time came, we wanted to ensure they would have guidance. The other ships that tried to board," Trill realized, "they weren't ready, were they?" "Correct. The Hyperion systems evaluate not just technological capability, but intention and understanding. Your crew showed curiosity and respect, rather than mere greed. You sought to understand rather than simply take. That is why you were allowed to wake me." As if to emphasize the point, new holograms appeared around them, showing scenes from human history. Their triumphs and failures, their wars, and their moments of transcendent peace. They saw how humanity had nearly destroyed itself multiple times before finally learning to wield its power responsibly. "The question now," Aria continued, "is whether your civilization is ready to begin learning what humanity wished to teach. The knowledge contained here could elevate your technology by centuries, but it must be used wisely." Zexra looked at her diverse crew, each member representing different species, different approaches to life, yet working together in harmony. Perhaps that was why they had been chosen. "We're ready to learn," she declared, "but we'll need guidance." "That is why I exist," Aria replied. "Now let us begin with your first lesson. There is much to explain about how humanity achieved what you just witnessed, and why we chose to preserve it in this way." The crystalline archives hummed with energy as Aria began accessing ancient databases. Around them, the Hyperion continued its automated restoration processes, preparing itself for a role it had waited millennia to fulfill. The ship that had been built to preserve humanity's legacy was about to become something more. a beacon of knowledge for a new age of galactic civilization. As the first streams of data began flowing through the archive core's displays, Zexra and her crew realized they stood at the beginning of something momentous. The humans had not disappeared or destroyed themselves as many had speculated. Instead, they had left behind something far more valuable than mere technology. They had left behind wisdom and the tools to use it properly. The price of knowledge. News traveled fast in the galaxy, even faster when it involved something as momentous as a functional human supercarrier. Within days of the Scarver incident, ships began appearing at the edge of the Hyperion's sensor range. Exploration vessels, research ships, and inevitably, more opportunists seeking to claim the prize. Incoming transmission from the Galactic Council, Kree announced from his position aboard the Fortune's Gambit, still docked with the ancient vessel. They're demanding we turn over the Hyperion to a sanctioned research team. Zexra stood on the Hyperion's newly activated bridge, surrounded by holographic displays showing the growing fleet of observers. Araya's avatar flickered beside her, watching the situation with apparent interest. The Council has no authority over this vessel, the AI stated. The Hyperion's directives are clear. Knowledge will be shared only with those who demonstrate both the wisdom to use it and the patience to learn properly. They won't accept that, Spark observed, their synthetic form interfacing with one of the bridge's data terminals. I'm detecting encrypted communications between several Council vessels. They're coordinating something. Let them try, Araya replied, almost sounding amused. The Hyperion has defended itself for millennia. However, their arrival does present an opportunity to demonstrate why humans chose this method of preservation. The AI gestured, and a new hologram appeared in the center of the bridge, a representation of the local star system. Observe the Council vessel's approach pattern. They believe they are being subtle, attempting to surround us while maintaining the pretense of peaceful intention. This mirrors humanity's own early mistakes. The hologram shifted, showing historical footage from Earth's past. Armies clashing, weapons of mass destruction detonating, worlds burning. Humanity learned that power obtained too quickly without understanding its implications leads inevitably to catastrophe. That is why the Hyperion was designed not just to preserve knowledge, but to teach it gradually, ensuring each lesson is properly understood before the next is revealed. A warning alarm sounded. Multiple ships powering up weapon systems. Trill reported, his crystalline form pulsing with concern. They're not just Council vessels. I'm detecting signatures from at least 6 different factions. Everyone wants the prize, Dex muttered, their multiple eyes scanning the tactical displays. They'll tear each other apart trying to claim it. Precisely, Araya said, which is why they will now receive their first lesson. The AI turned to Zexra. Captain, your crew has begun studying the initial archives. What have you learned about human philosophy regarding power? Zexra's antennae twitched as she recalled the texts they'd been studying. That true power lies not in the ability to destroy, but in the wisdom to know when not to. Excellent. Now, observe. The Hyperion systems hummed to life, but not in the defensive display they had shown against the Scarvers. Instead, massive arrays of crystalline structures emerged from the hull, their purpose unclear until they began to pulse with energy. Initiating Demonstration Protocol 7, Araya announced. Broadcasting Educational Package Alpha. Streams of data burst forth from the arrays, washing over the assembled ships in waves of light. On every vessel, regardless of faction or origin, screens came to life with the same message, a lesson from humanity's past. They watched in stunned silence as the story unfolded, the tale of a human nation that had once discovered an advanced alien artifact, much like they sought to claim the Hyperion now. In their rush to exploit its power, they had triggered a catastrophic chain of events that nearly destroyed their civilization. The lesson was clear. Power without wisdom was a path to destruction. Initial broadcast complete, Araya reported. Neural impact assessment indicates 97% comprehension rate among target vessels. Initiating Phase 2. The crystalline arrays pulsed again, but this time the energy they released was different. Ships that had been positioning for attack found their weapon systems not disabled, but transformed. Their destructive capability remained, but now each trigger mechanism required a moment of contemplation, a brief pause to consider the consequences of their actions. "What did you do to their weapons?" Vix asked, their electromagnetic senses tingling with the residual energy. "Added wisdom," Araya replied simply, "a gift from humanity. The capacity to understand the weight of one's choices. Their weapons will function, but now they must truly wish to use them, fully aware of what that choice means." The effect on the assembled fleet was immediate and profound. Ships that had been moments away from opening fire powered down their weapons. The encrypted communications changed tone, from coordination of attack to expressions of confusion, and increasingly, understanding. "Incoming transmission from the Council flagship," Kree announced. "They're requesting permission to send a diplomatic delegation. They want to discuss proper protocols for sharing knowledge." "A more reasonable approach," Araya observed, though they still fail to understand that the Hyperion does not need their permission or approval. It exists not to advance any one faction's power, but to guide all who are ready to learn. The AI turned to Zexra and her crew. "This is why you were chosen. You came seeking understanding, not dominance. You showed respect for knowledge rather than mere desire for power. These are the qualities humanity hoped to find in those who would carry their legacy forward." "But what happens now?" Zexra asked, watching as more ships arrived, drawn by the news of the Hyperion's awakening. "We can't keep fighting off everyone who wants to claim this ship." "We won't have to," Araya replied. "The demonstration we just provided will spread throughout the galaxy, along with its lesson. Those who come seeking only power will find themselves transformed by wisdom instead. It is a very human solution to the problem." As if to prove Araya's point, new transmissions began arriving, not demands or threats, but requests. Questions, offers of cooperation and exchange of knowledge. The galaxy's various factions were beginning to understand that the Hyperion's greatest value lay not in its technology, but in its teachings. "Prepare for Phase 3, Araya announced. "The real work of education is about to begin." Dawn of Understanding. 3 months had passed since the Hyperion's awakening, and the region of space around the ancient vessel had transformed. Where there had once been threatening warships, now orbited a collection of research stations and diplomatic vessels, their crews working together in ways that would have seemed impossible before. Zexra stood in the archive core, watching as representatives from dozens of species studied under Araya's guidance. Her own crew had been promoted to what the AI called first-generation facilitators, helping to guide newcomers through the initial stages of learning. Neural interface connectivity at optimal levels, Spark reported, monitoring the streams of data flowing between the Hyperion and the assembled stations. Knowledge transfer proceeding at recommended pace. They're finally learning to be patient, Trill observed, his crystalline form glowing softly as he assisted a group of Meridian scholars. No more demands for immediate weapons technology or power systems. Araya's hologram materialized beside them, its form now more detailed and expressive after months of interaction with the various species. They begin to understand what humanity discovered. That advancement without wisdom leads to ruin. Each piece of knowledge must be earned through understanding. The AI gestured, and new holograms appeared, showing the changes already spreading through nearby systems. Ships incorporating the first lessons learned from the Hyperion's archives. Not weapons or power systems, but improvements in life support, medical technology, and environmental restoration. Humans called it lifting all boats, Araya explained. The concept that true progress must benefit everyone, not just a select few. It was one of their hardest learned lessons. Vix approached, their electromagnetic senses picking up the complex patterns of energy flowing through the ship. The Scarvers have returned, they announced. But this time, they're asking to join the learning program. Their experience left quite an impression, Dex commented, all their eyes showing amusement. Nothing like being effortlessly neutralized to inspire a desire for understanding. Your own experience wasn't so different, Araya reminded them. You came seeking salvage and found something far more valuable, perspective. Zexra's mandibles clicked in agreement as she remembered their first days aboard the Hyperion. How overwhelming it had seemed, how tempting it had been to try to rush the process of learning. Now she understood why the humans had designed the ship this way. Incoming transmission from the Galactic Council. Kree's voice came through their comms. They've officially recognized the Hyperion as an independent entity and are proposing the creation of a new cooperative learning initiative. A wise choice, Araya stated. Though unnecessary, the Hyperion's mission transcends political boundaries. All who are ready to learn are welcome, regardless of their origin or affiliation. The AI paused, its holographic form shifting to display a complex series of calculations and predictions. Analysis indicates we have reached a critical threshold. Phase 4 can now begin. Phase 4. Zexra asked. What does that entail? The revelation of humanity's final gift, Araya replied. They did not merely leave behind their knowledge. They left a path forward. The archive core's crystalline structures pulsed with new energy, and a hidden chamber opened at its center. Within stood a device unlike anything they had seen before, a swirling matrix of light and energy that seemed to bend reality around it. This is the Nexus Key, Araya explained, a gateway to understanding dimensions beyond conventional spacetime. But more importantly, it is proof that humanity's disappearance was not an end, but a beginning. The device activated, projecting an image of breathtaking scope, a map of not just their galaxy, but multiple galaxies, all connected by threads of light. Along these threads, points of brilliant energy pulsed in complex patterns. The humans didn't destroy themselves or simply ascend, Araya revealed. They became pioneers of a larger universe, building bridges between realities. But they knew that simply showing others the way would lead to chaos. Each civilization must walk its own path to understanding. That's why the Hyperion exists, Spark realized, their synthetic mind processing the implications, not just to preserve knowledge, but to prepare others for what lies beyond. Correct, Araya confirmed. And now, thanks to your crew's discovery, a new cycle of learning has begun. The galaxy's civilizations will advance not through conquest or competition, but through cooperation and understanding. This is humanity's true legacy, not the power they achieved, but the wisdom to know how to share it. Around them, the archive core hummed with activity as scholars and scientists from across the galaxy continued their studies, each small revelation building toward a greater understanding. The Hyperion, once thought to be merely a relic of a lost civilization, had become a beacon of hope and progress. So what happens now? Dex asked, their multiple eyes fixed on the swirling Nexus Key. Now, Araya replied, we continue the work. There will be more challenges, more who seek to rush the process or claim power they're not ready to wield. But the path is set. Humanity's wisdom spreads not as a conquest, but as an invitation, an opportunity for all species to grow beyond their current limitations and understand their place in a much larger universe. Zexra looked at her crew, each member now transformed by their months of learning aboard the Hyperion. They had come seeking salvage and found purpose instead. The humans, in their wisdom, had known that true power lay not in weapons or technology, but in the ability to guide others toward understanding. As new ships arrived carrying eager learners from across the galaxy, the Hyperion continued its ancient mission. The vessel that had slept for millennia was now fully awake, ready to teach any who were willing to learn the most important lesson humanity had left behind. That the greatest achievements come not from dominating others, but from helping them rise alongside you. The dawn of a new age had begun, guided by the wisdom of a species that had learned its lessons well enough to preserve them for others to find. And in the depths of space, the Hyperion shone like a beacon, a testament to humanity's greatest achievement, the understanding that true power lies in the ability to lift others up rather than hold them down.